let's talk about scars. Most of us have them, little ones, big ones, great big disfiguring keloid things. Does scar ever put you off being with somebody, or a physical disfigurement? For me, it wouldn't. I wouldn't mind. I am quite heavily scarred. I've had quite a lot of surgeries. I've had a complete ankle reconstruction. That's the simplest one. I broke my ankle, shattered my ankle so that it was just hanging. One Christmas morning, 6 o'clock Christmas morning, and I had to crawl 1/4 of a mile home. And had an operation on that Boxing Day. And then the day I got my cast off in April, I had to have quite a large operation. It was called, an easy one to remember, it was a tailor shift. Tailor shift operation, where the square bone in the ankle has shifted across and has to be pinned, and then I had rods and a bone was sticking out of my foot that had to be all. So that's one. The big one is my gastric surgery. So I had a Y incision, and I've been cut from here to my pubis, side to side. And then 2 years later, I was opened again and had more surgery, and 2 drains, 2 tiny little drains like that, put into each thigh. Nothing. But then, 6 weeks post-op, I'd signed a disclaimer saying MRSA was just taking off. And I'd signed a disclaimer before my surgery saying that, you know, if I caught MRSA, it, you know, nothing, it wasn't the hospital's fault, no comeback. Apparently that wasn't worth the paper it was written on, but I didn't know that at the time, and I never did anything about it. Anyway, post-op, I came through the operation, I healed beautifully. I came home with a big drain hanging out on my side that I had to empty every day, several times a day. 6 weeks after my operation, I went back to have all my staples removed. And while I was in the clinic, I caught MRSA from Furness General Hospital. So picture the scene. This new disease, this new killer disease, has just burst into Cumbria, little county where we live in the very north of England. And it's the talk of the town, you know, this killer disease, it eats flesh. If you get it, it's going to eat all your flesh away and eat your organs. And so my first grandson was 6 weeks old. He'd just been born. The kids had brought him round to see me. We're sitting on the sofa. I'm cuddling my grandson when the phone rings. I hand him over and answer the phone, and the lady says, we have some bad news for you. And I knew instantly. And I said, MRSA. She said, yes, I'm afraid so. The kids were just shocked. I mean, in those days, we know now hygiene, yes, it is a transferable disease. But in those days, we didn't know enough about it. The kids were horrified. They had their 6-week-old baby. And I just said to them, go, get out, go on, take him. They left and I dealt with it. 6 months later, I got the all clear after 3 negative results. But I had MRSA through 60% of my body. And this wonderful little man doctor, I had to go 3 times a week. 3 times a week I would look pregnant because I had, this is rather graphic, my stomach had filled with blood and gore and debris. So I had to go 3 times a week and have a needle like that, put into my stomach, and I used to fill 2 sick bowls, you know, the cardboard top hat sick bowls. I used to fill 2 of those with gunk, and I'd come out completely flat after being like that. And they were also draining my drain sites. And this doctor, I had MRSA in at that point, 40% of my torso. I had it right down my torso and in one thigh. He went into my thigh, stab, 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 squirt, 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 and he went in, out, and before I could stop him, straight into the other thigh, and infected my other thigh as well. So I ended up with both thighs and all of my torso. It's left me very badly scarred on my thighs. I have quite, to be honest, the deforming when I'm carrying all the weight, because what happens is the scar, the flesh either side of the scar bunches. Same here, the flesh bunches and it becomes very obvious. And sometimes if I'm wearing thin clothing, you can see the lines of them. I've got 2 12-inch scars, one on each thigh. Mark was quite perturbed the first time he saw me naked. He said it was quite a shock because I hadn't prepared him for it. I'm not ashamed of my scars. My scars are what makes me live. If I didn't have all these scars, I wouldn't be alive today. I wouldn't have had my stomach surgery. I wouldn't have had, you know, my ankle surgery. And I'm very pleased to be alive today, and my scars tell the tale. They're a roadmap. They're a roadmap of my life and things that have happened to me that have been a bit shitty, but we've come through them. Thankfully, this scar here, I mean, my stomach scar is barely visible. It comes out a bit more in the sun. It's not particularly visible. It's just a scar. This one does get a little bit keloid, and I can feel it now. Because I've lost weight, I can actually feel the ridges of the scar on my hips. But what it used to do was bunch all the flesh so that I became quite deformed here. That's all gone with losing weight. It's coming quite normal now. I've got a bit of a paunch, but not much. Likewise, my thigh scars used to bunch terribly either side. But with losing weight, I've noticed every day they're becoming less noticeable. So it's all good. What scars do you have? Are you ashamed of them? Do you cover them? Do you hide them? Do you wear them as, not a badge of honour, as a mark of your life and the things you've experienced? And would you be put off by somebody who was scarred? Just a topic to talk about. Nice chat.